Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has offered the world an unfiltered glimpse into the soul of a man who, despite building a sun-drenched new life in California, appears irrevocably tethered to the country he once called home. Titled The Bond, the Banter, the Bravery, What It Means to be British, the piece is far more than a patriotic reflection on military service and national identity. To many who have followed the Sussexes' turbulent journey, it reads as an emotional confession. Living more than 5,000 miles away in Montecito, surrounded by palm trees, celebrity neighbors, and the relentless hum of Hollywood ambition, Harry nevertheless declared in black and white, "Though currently I may live in the United States, Britain is, and always will be, the country I proudly served and fought for." He wrote lovingly of the uniquely British rhythm of life, the irreverent banter in the officers' mess, the pub, the football terraces, the clubhouse changing rooms, describing these everyday rituals as the very fabric of British identity. "I make no apology for it. I love it," he insisted. For a prince who dramatically severed his senior royal role in 2020, such an ardent declaration carries unmistakable weight. As the old saying goes, you can take the boy out of Britain, but you can't take Britain out of the boy, and Harry's essay seems to prove the adage true. Royal commentators have been quick to read between the lines. Veteran watcher Richard Fitzwilliams described the piece as Harry at his absolute best, yet simultaneously a painful reminder of his self-imposed exile. "Exiles feel deep regret," Fitzwilliams observed, pointing to the formative role the British Army played in Harry's life after the devastating loss of his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. The Invictus Games, Harry's proudest legacy, emerged directly from that military identity. Yet even that triumph cannot fully replace what has been lost: daily proximity to the people, places, and traditions that shaped him. His affectionate reference to the late Queen Elizabeth II as "my commander-in-chief" only underscored the emotional distance. Love and respect offered from across an ocean can feel achingly inadequate. The road to this moment of reflection began in January 2020, when Harry and his wife, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, stunned the world by announcing they would step back as senior working royals. They cited relentless media intrusion and what they perceived as insufficient support from the firm. What followed was a seismic rupture: the Oprah interview in March 2021, the Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan in late 2022, and Harry's blistering memoir Spare in January 2023. In those projects, private family conversations were made public, grievances were aired in excruciating detail, and the rift with his father, now King Charles III, and brother, Prince William, the Prince of Wales, widened into what many feared was an unbridgeable chasm. Yet 5 years on, the narrative appears to be shifting. Observers note that the couple's once frenetic media blitz has slowed considerably. The avalanche of revelations has given way to quieter humanitarian work, Archewell Foundation initiatives, the Invictus Games, occasional speaking engagements, but also, it seems, to private introspection. British broadcaster Helena Chard has remarked that the once irrepressibly cheerful prince who arrived in America cracking jokes and radiating energy now appears subdued, even diminished. "I'm sure he misses parts of his previous life in the UK," she said. The celebrity world doesn't float Harry's boat. Glamorous parties and A-list connections, Chard argues, have failed to fill the void left by the earthy, duty-bound existence he once knew. Compounding Harry's private turmoil is the sobering reality of his father's health. King Charles's cancer diagnosis, announced in February 2024, has hung like a shadow over the entire family. Sources close to the situation say the king's illness has weighed heavily on Harry, prompting at least 2 brief UK visits in 2024, one immediately after the diagnosis, and another in September when father and son spent time together at Clarence House, their first proper meeting in over 16 months. While those encounters were described as warm, they were also fleeting. Harry reportedly saw neither his brother nor sister-in-law during those trips, and Prince William remains adamantly opposed to any formal return of Harry to royal duties. Still, glimmers of possible détente have emerged. In a May 2025 BBC interview, Harry spoke openly about his hopes for reconciliation. "I would love reconciliation with my family. Life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has." The raw vulnerability of that statement stunned many who had grown accustomed to the combative tone of previous years. Friends quoted anonymously in the press describe a man wrestling with loneliness, missing the camaraderie of his old British circle, and quietly questioning whether the price of freedom has been too steep. Even Harry's relationship with American citizenship, the ultimate symbol of putting down new roots, remains ambivalent. When asked directly whether he intends to naturalize, his answers have been consistently evasive. "No plans at this point," he said in 2024. "It's not a high priority. he told Good Morning America the previous year. 5 years into his American chapter, the Duke still travels on a British passport and has never publicly criticized the country itself, only the monarchy and the media ecosystem that surrounds it. As one royal expert, Hilary Fordwich, observed, Harry has never badmouthed England, only the firm. Those close to him paint a picture of a man caught in a loop of retrospection. A former advisor lamented to the press that Harry spends all his time looking back, unable to fully wrench his neck around and look forward. He adores his young family, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, and is said to cherish the privacy and normalcy California affords them. Yet the search for a defining, meaningful role outside the royal framework continues to elude him. The Invictus Games remain his North Star, but even that project is intrinsically linked to his British military past. So where does this leave the future? Complete restoration of Harry as a working royal is universally regarded as off the table, not least because of Prince William's reported intransigence. Yet several commentators refuse to rule out a partial, informal return, perhaps spending a few months each year in Britain, undertaking discreet charitable work, or representing causes close to his heart under a carefully negotiated arrangement. History is full of prodigal sons finding their way home in unexpected ways. The abdication crisis, the multiple marriages of Princess Margaret, the rehabilitation of Camilla, all serve as reminders that the House of Windsor has weathered stranger storms. What is undeniable is that Prince Harry's Remembrance Day essay was more than a tribute to fallen servicemen and women. It was a love letter to a country he can never fully leave behind, and perhaps a subconscious signal that the door to some form of reconciliation remains ajar. Whether that door will ever open wide enough for a meaningful re-engagement with his family, or whether the wounds inflicted by 5 years of public acrimony run too deep, remains one of the most compelling open questions in modern royal history. As King Charles continues his own health battle, as William prepares for a future on the throne, and as Harry navigates life as a transatlantic prince without portfolio, the story. The central question now hanging over the Sussexes' story is whether any form of meaningful reconciliation is possible. Most experts believe a full-time return to the working monarchy is off the table. Prince William's reported opposition is described as immovable, and the institution itself has moved on. Yet some leave open the possibility of a limited, perhaps part-time role focused on military and veterans' causes, or informal appearances in support of national events. Royal commentator Hilary Fordwich has suggested that a temporary return, perhaps a few weeks each year, would not be surprising, provided it remained strictly personal and non-official. What is beyond dispute is the enduring strength of Harry's British identity. As Fordwich memorably put it, invoking two quintessentially English sayings, "You can take the boy out of England, but you can't take England out of the boy," and Shakespeare's evocative description of this precious stone set in the Silver Sea, this blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England. Harry has never spoken ill of his country, only of certain elements within the royal institution and the media ecosystem that surrounds it. That distinction matters. Of the Sussexes is entering a new, more reflective chapter. The brash defiance of 2020 has softened into something more wistful, more human. And in that softening lies the faint but persistent hope that blood, in the end, may yet prove thicker than the ink of tell-all books and headline-grabbing interviews. Only time will tell whether Prince Harry's heart, still beating strongly for Britain, will one day guide his feet back across the Atlantic. Not necessarily to resume the old life, but perhaps to reclaim a small piece of the home that never truly stopped being his. For now, the world watches, waits, and remembers that even in the most modern of monarchies, some of the oldest truths still endure: duty, identity, family, and the quiet ache of exile.